Hey, how are you doing? It's Joe Parkhurst. I write music and I look into the paranormal. Uh, right now, this is a lifestyle channel, music and spooky stuff and sports and whatever. Lifestyle's lifestyle. But right now, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves Game 5 in San Antonio. And what happened is, well, in my opinion, I haven't watched any podcasts. I haven't listened to any kind of interviews that are going on after the game, because I want to put my thoughts out there and then watch those things to see if they're in line with what I'm saying. I put this loss on Chris Finch. I love Chris Finch. He's gotten us to 2 Western Conference Finals, which is no easy task. This Minnesota Timberwolves team is a dynasty team. Do I think Chris Finch can get us to the playoffs again? He doesn't develop players. What player has Chris Finch developed? Jaden McDaniels? Jaden was a Timberwolves before Chris came along, wasn't he? Man, it just seems like Jaden wasn't a Chris Finch product. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It just seems like Jaden's been around for a long time, longer than Chris. Man, I don't know. I really got to take a look at the players and see who is developed. I mean, Dillingham is going to be a stud, and he's a Chicago Bull. We got Io, and he's a big improvement from Dillingham. We lost DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo is what made the Timberwolves work. He was a spot up shooter. You can kick it out to him, he'll hit a 3. There are times where he'd go on a tear and hit 5 threes in a game. Go 5 for 9, 5 for 10, 5 for 11. He's efficient at threes. But we have other talent on the bench. So who do you run with? Start Io, Ant, Jaden, Randall, and Gobert. And Gobert, we all know he's got hammers for hands, man. He can't catch shit. And he didn't again tonight. There was at least 5 different attempts to go to him and 5 turnovers. That's 10 points. Okay, so take 10 points away. And here's the other thing. We're driving at Wemby. Why are we driving at Wemby all the time? It was futile. We weren't trying to screen Wemby down low. It would have made sense to have Gobert set up a screen where he just stands and has Wemby have to take an angle to try and block a shot. That would have made sense, but it never happened. I had been saying for that to happen since game 2, man. Have Gobert stand. He has a right to stand at the rim. He can stand at the rim and keep Wemby from having his position. A defender can keep their position. You can't put your arms around and use your arms to keep somebody in. Something that I don't know if both teams are doing it, but I know San Antonio was doing it. San Antonio was grabbing and pulling, but so were the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't really have like a gripe when it comes to the way things were officiated tonight. I mean, there is bad calls, but there's bad calls in every NBA game, and if you execute those bad calls, there's really no way unless you start getting phantom fouls. And the refs have no problem doing phantom fouls like this delay a game shit. I mean, that's all the little things when you have to sit there and overcome the officials as well as an aggressive team. That'll play with your mind, man. That's why they always say you got to be mentally strong to be able to see through that. It's like if you're at a hostile work environment and you had to go into work every day and you knew that, if you got 1 person, 2 person, 3 person together, that it was going to make your life a living hell. Well, you just still got to keep going. You still got to go because you got to pay your bills. And, these guys are trying to go and get a win. They're trying to get a win. They're paid to get a win. And, like Booker said, is this becoming the WWE? Because there were calls tonight that definitely, the refs get too involved in the games, man. They get too involved in the games. For a moment there, the Spurs were marching to the line. I haven't looked at the free throws to see if there was a disparity because, like I said, the refs are bullshit. The NBA in that regard is bullshit. Adam Silver is bullshit. But the game of basketball is beautiful, so I'll always watch it. It's just maddening. It's maddening. It's maddening, man. But tonight's loss, like I said, Chris Finch can hold this one. I haven't watched any interviews or anything like that. I don't want to because I'm furious. So off the bench, who do we have coming? We had TJ Shannon, who is an underdeveloped player because of Chris Finch. He never used TJ. He'd pull him all the time. So TJ never really had playing time here in Minnesota, which is mind-blowing. So you got him coming in. You got Mike Conley coming in, who is really good at seeing opportunities, but not against the Spurs, man. The Spurs are really talented. I used to think it was just, all kinds of hype, but no, man. They got a squad, and losing to them is upsetting because I don't know, even with DiVincenzo, if DiVincenzo was here, you'd have a 15-point difference. So if he's putting up 15, that's 5 more points than Randall's 10. So you get 5 more points closer. Does that help? I don't know. It's the playing style. What are you going to do? How do you combat a 7'3" guy who gets blocks that are also goaltends? I mean, you got a ball going up and it's reached its arc and it's swatted into the stands. That's a goaltend. That counts. But the refs don't do it. Adam Silver will not have it. He wants to create stars. He's got SGA in Oklahoma, and he's got Wemby over in San Antonio, and he's got Brunson in New York. Who else does he have? Who else are stars for Adam Silver? Who else gets those calls? Drop a comment. Who else is Adam Silver's golden child? The Timberwolves have Jalen Clark, who's a defensive phenom. They could have put him in and let, everybody is struggling. So you could have put Jalen Clark in for a defensive stop, and then you could have put Kyle Anderson at point to run point. He can see the floor and run it. And Kyle slows everything down. And that's what you want, in my opinion. That's what you want against the Spurs. You want to slow things down, because if you're running, you're just going to get swatted. I mean, we've seen it all game, all series here. You try to run fast with the Spurs, you're going to get swatted. I am curious to see if the Timberwolves will slow it down, if Finch will start using his bench. I mean, they got nothing to lose now. They're down 3-2 in the series. They come back to Minnesota, they can tie it. Minnesota went through this with the Denver Nuggets. They went 7 games and pulled it out. So maybe if the Timberwolves can win Game 6 in a decisive way, not just a squeak, a 6-point win. That's close. The Spurs have blown out the Timberwolves at home twice. And it's because of Chris Finch's coaching. Will A-Rod put up with that? Will he accept that? Is he going to go to Finch and have a private conversation and say, why aren't you playing the bench? Why isn't Jalen Clark, one of our defensive juggernauts, getting into the game? Why isn't Kyle Anderson running point? He can. And he's tall. And why isn't Bones Highland getting out there to run with Io? If you want speed, they call themselves the Turbo Twins. And they feed off each other. Defensive stops are hard to stop if the offense is good. Wemby's proving that. He's taller than everybody. He can hit. He can shoot. I mean, he's frail. The guy has to grow into his body. Who knows if he will? Manute Bol never did. He was always lanky. There are so many different things that that are frustrating with the Timberwolves right now. And we'll have to wait till Friday to see if they can sort it out. I have tickets to the game. I'm hemming and hawing on whether or not I'm going to go or just let them go for face value or whatever. I don't think they're going to sell very high because I don't think a lot of people think the Wolves can win. I don't imagine Target Center being full to capacity on Friday. I imagine the lower bowl being full and the upper maybe having some spare seats. Maybe the lower bowl has spare seats. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I myself believe in the Timberwolves, but I've been in teasing. I've went to a lot of Timberwolves games. Yeah, I'll probably end up going because they're my team, man. I gotta go see Ant and watch them guys play. I might not be able to watch them again till October. Such as basketball, man. Well, that's the NBA report from the Spurs Timberwolves game. The Spurs just trounced Minnesota in every way imaginable. Minnesota tied it up once, but then had no answers. No answers. And I can't blame the officials because it was just missed shots, man. Tough angles on shots, and it's because they're trying to speed to the rim. Why not pass the ball around? Oh, man. Good night.